How do we really understand our numbers like we know our names? There's a cost associated with creating the content, time, wherever you're going, camera, whatever you're doing, cost associated with creating content, a cost associated with editing the content, and then cost with distributing the reels and the stories. Now you need to understand what is your cost to acquire a sale. So how many leads is it taking to get one sale? The lead to sale ratio fluctuates based on skill set. This is why you've got to watch your team's numbers like a hawk. You can't be this person that just turns your head and you get a sale that comes in and you're jacked up. You know, everyone celebrates, hey, I got a sale, but it cost them $2,200 for a $3,000 product to get the sale because they blew through the leads. It's ridiculous, and it's also very irresponsible if that's how you run business. How do we really understand our numbers like we know our name? And that's something you want to write down. Know your numbers like you know your name. Now, I brushed on this about a few weeks back, but the one thing we're going to really get into is the net numbers, right? For example, first, we're going to cover what the acronyms are. You hear in marketing all these acronyms where marketers or advertisers will throw these acronyms around. And if you're sitting there going, gosh, what are they? A lot of times you can't even search them on Google to determine what they mean. So let's get started. Now, you're going to hear something called CPL, CPA, lead to sale ratio. So write that down. CPL, CPA, and lead to sale ratio. What do they mean and why are they so important to your business and why you need to know them? So we're gonna break down what each one means. So first off is CPL, write it down, cost per lead. So every single lead has a cost. For example, if you're doing organic advertising, right, where you're putting posts out on reels and stories out every day, you've got to create the content. Now there's AI apps that can cut it all up for you, and it can do the titles and the graphics and things like that, or you hire an editor, okay? Either way, it's gonna cost you around $1,000 to $2,000 a month. If you're in the beginning stage of cutting up your organic reels and stories, it's gonna cost you a few $100s per month. Okay, but the bottom line is there's a cost associated with one, creating the content, time, wherever you're going, the camera, whatever you're doing, right? There's a cost associated with creating content, a cost associated with editing the content, and then there's a cost with distributing the reels and the stories, right? You got to do them every single day or a couple times a week and then put them out consistently. Now, what you're looking for on the organic is you're looking at, okay, what's my real cost on all of my areas to create the reel, create the story. And then when a lead comes in, you start dividing as weeks go by. Let's say it's 4 weeks. You divide your total amount of cost divided by your leads. So if you've got $2,000 divided by 100 leads, then you divide it, that's your cost. If you want to really understand the simplicity of it, now I'm a good math guy, but I'll still walk you through the simple. Let's say it's $2,000 divided by 100, right? That's pretty easy. It's costing you $20 per lead. Now, why do you need to know that it's $20 per lead? Because now you need to understand what is your cost to acquire a sale. So how many leads is it taking to get one sale? So let's just say, for example, it's taking you 20 leads, okay? So your cost to acquire, okay? So let's go into the, really, if it takes you 20 leads and you're $20 a lead, 20 times 20, it's costing you $400 in marketing costs to get one sale. You understand what I'm saying? It costs you $20. It's taking you 20 leads to get one sale. So write it down. Your lead to sale ratio is 20 to 1. If you are selling, let's say you've got a high ticket product that is $3,000. Well, then you got to look at what? Let's take a look at this. You got a $3,000 cost of a product. It's taking $400 to get one sale, right? So then you take 3,000 minus 400. So you've got $2,600 left. Now you've got 10% on the 3,000 for your closer and 5% for your setter. So write that down. You've got 10% commission for the closer, 5% for the setter. So if you go back up to the 3,000 times 10%, you should know this is $300. And then you've got 150 300 divided by 2. So you got 300, let's just go back up to 2,600 minus 300 minus 150. All in, okay, you've got about 2,150 left over in profit. So after you paid your setter, after you've paid for your the cost for the advertising, cost for a closer, you got 2,100. So your real costs are what? 3,000 minus 2,150. Your real costs are $850 to acquire that sale. It says for the marketing, this is all organic, by the way. So you got the cost of the editor, the cost of the filming, the cost of the putting it out every day. And so that establishes a cost per lead. Then you just take the total cost divided by the number of leads. There's your cost per lead. Now, what happens is as you start entering into Facebook, YouTube, Instagram advertising, your CPA goes up because you're paying more for paid advertising. So what we do is every single day we have a budget that we spend on our advertising. So let's just say it's $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day is $30,000 a month. So now the cost per acquisition is a lot higher to get the same amount of people to come through, right? Because it's not organic, you're paying to play. So let's break it down, okay? Let's say you got a $3,000 course and to get one appointment off paid advertising is $100, okay? And 10 of those to get a sale. You can pretty much do the numbers, right? You got $100 times 10. It's now taking you $1,000 in marketing in order for you to get one sale. 1,000. And that's if it takes 10 leads to get one sale. So this is why you need to know your numbers like you know your name. What if some of your closers are at 20 to 1 and it's $100 a booked appointment? So you have 100 times 20. Now it's costing you $2,000 for one sale. How did I get that? $100 for a booked appointment. It's taking 20 leads to get one sale. It's $2,000 in marketing. Now let's go back up to what we know. We know it's $300 commission for the closer and it's $150 because it's 10% for the closer and it's basically 5% for the setter. So now we're into this, what? We got $150 for the setter plus $300 for the closer plus $2,000 for the marketing. We're at $2,450 and your net profit's now like what? Just barely over $550. So see the difference? The cost per lead fluctuates based on your advertising. The lead to sale ratio fluctuates based on skill set. So this is why you've got to watch your team's numbers like a hawk. You can't be this person that just turns your head and you get a sale that comes in and you're jacked up. See, you're an amateur if you do that. You know, everyone celebrates, hey, I got a sale, but it cost them $2,200 for a $3,000 product to get the sale because they blew through the leads. It's ridiculous, and it's also very irresponsible if that's how you run business. I've seen that time and time again where people just absolutely are irresponsible and they have no idea how to run the business. So they need to be, a rule of thumb, you need to be around 10 leads to one sale. The maximum can be 13 to 1, the maximum. And if you're at $100 booked appointment, 13 times, this is relatively easy, it's $1,300. 13 times 100 is $1,300. So by the time you get done paying the closer and the setter, you still have about $1,200 left over for infrastructure and all the other things. So people always think, hey, if I'm gonna own the business, I'm gonna make all this money. Well, you can, but you've got to make sure that you have your game on in all different directions. How to run the media, how to produce ads, how to edit, how to copyright. You got to pay for all this stuff, and then you got to keep things moving and keep things going. Then you got to watch your team like a hawk. Setters have got to get a 95% appointment confirmation. The closers have got to be 50% from the qualification call to the sales call, and you got to have 1 out of 2 leads closing on the sales call. So when you look at this, it all gives you a ratio and it all gives you an opportunity to see what is the true skill set of your team, and then you can back it up based on your team as a reflection of you.